Hello everyone, welcome to this webinar on web scraping. I'm Riddhi Gupta from DSC VIT and I'm here today to take this webinar. I have been part of DSC VIT since last 2 years and have been coding in Python since last 3 years. Today, I will be sharing my knowledge on web scraping with all of you. Let's wait for 1 more minute and then let's begin with the webinar. Okay, so let's begin with our webinar. So the first question that comes to our mind is, what exactly is the term web scraping? What does it mean? When you dive deep into the word web scraping, you will realize that web scraping is exactly what the term means. Web means website and scraping means getting information. So web scraping simply means extracting data from websites. And we are going to automate this process here. In layman's term, you can consider this process as copy-pasting data from websites and then storing it somewhere on your device. So what we are doing here is making a script that will automate this process of doing copy-paste of data from a website, and the script that we get is known as a bot or a web crawler. The data that we copy will be stored to a central DB or an Excel sheet for later retrieval and analysis. Let's go forward. I found this image. This is a very good representation of what web scraping actually means. So it will all begin with a website. You might come across a website that will have some data that you might find relevant and you might find it useful. But how do you get that data? You can do copy paste of data, but that is very inefficient and you might end up not extracting the real-time data, and it is very difficult also. But how do you get the data then? You don't have access to the server's database also. So what you will do, you will, as a programmer, make a script, a bot which will go to the website, will get data from the website and will extract particular parts of information that you actually needed and will store it in a proper format on your own personal DB or a personal local file so that you can use it for later analysis. I hope this image made the point very clear. When you talk about web scraping, you will majorly come across two terms. One of them being web crawling and the other is web scraping. People often get confused between the meaning of these two terms. So it is very important to understand the difference between them, and let's start clearing it. So first let's talk about what web scraping is. So as we talked that web scraping, you'll have a website. You'll have a website in which you will go and you will try to extract particular pieces of information from the website, and you will store it in a particular format, maybe in an XML document, Excel sheet or SQL database. So what you're doing here is trying to get very particular pieces of information from the website. You're going to target a particular piece of information. Now let's talk about web crawling. In web crawling also, you will make a bot. Here the bot is known as a crawler or a spider. It is called as a spider because the process is very similar to how spider makes web. So the bot will go to the website. It will go to the first web page. it will go through entire information and try to find other links on the website as well. It will go to those links as well and will try to get data from there as well. It will keep on going and try to find as much information as it can find. It will try to look for kind of generic information here. Then after gathering information, it will build a list of all the information that it found, properly index them and then store it on your DB. So this is how web crawling works. I have another image which will help you understand it in a better way. So here is your spider, your bot. It will go to the very first web page. It will go to the first web page called example.com, say. It will start looking through the data. It will come across the first link on the website, which is page1.html. It will go to the page1.html, try to get data from that page as well. Then it will move forward, try to look for other links. It will find page2.html. It will go to page2.html and get data from there as well. Similarly, it will go to page 3 as well and get data from there. Thus, it will keep on going to various links which it comes across and try to extract information from there. So this is how it works. You can consider examples of big search engines such as Google or any search engine for that sake. They make web crawlers. They make use of web crawlers. They will go to the website, will try to extract the information about what kind of data, what kind of information that website wants to convey, will store it in a proper format, an index format, and then when you next time go to your browser, your search engine, and start typing some word, then it will go forward and search for that word from the index and will show you the results on your screen. When you're learning something, it's very important to understand the various applications of that particular thing. So let's talk about applications of web scraping. You know about data science, right? So this is one of the fields where web scraping is highly used. How do you get the data set for machine learning? You might go to various sites such as Kaggle and take information from there. But what if the information that you want is not available somewhere in a proper format? How do you make your data set then? You can go to a website where you might find data. If you come across websites which have relevant data, you can go to that website, scrape the information from there, store it, and then make your own data set and use it for training. So this is how web scraping helps in data science as well. There are other fields of applications as well, such as e-commerce, marketing and sales. What these fields will do is they'll try to monitor the price of a product, or they will try to have a view of how the stock market is changing continuously. By using web scraping and other methods, we'll store that data, we'll analyze it and try to make maximum profit. This is how web scraping is used in these fields as well. And there are other fields such as data journalism and job boards as well. So these are some fields of application of web scraping. Moving forward, one of the questions that you might come across is, why is web scraping legal? So yes, this is a major concern and people often debate on this topic. Let's try to clear, is web scraping legal? So it all depends upon how you are going to use the data that you are going to scrape. So if you are trying to scrape a public information that is visible on a website without logging in, and if you are trying to get that data, then you can consider it legal and you're not trying to use that data for exploiting, you're just using it for personal analysis, then it can be considered as legal. But if you're trying to access data which requires logging in, which is protected on a website, you're trying to access that part of data and you're trying to exploit the data, you're trying to show it as your own data without the information of without informing to the owner of the website, then in that case it can be considered as illegal. There are various ways in which the websites try to protect themselves from these bots that do web scraping. There are various methods. One of them you might have come across is reCAPTCHA. You might find a box on many registration forms, a box which will say check here to check if you are bot or not. So that is one of the checks that they do. There are various other methods as well. So for example, they'll put rate limiting. They'll see how many requests are coming from a particular IP address. All these methods, various methods, websites use to prevent themselves, their data being scraped by bots. So the best way to learn a new topic is by building something. So building a project is the best method to learn something. So today we are going to make our own price monitoring bot. So now if you want to buy a product from any of the online shopping websites and you don't have, suppose the product is for 1500 but your budget is only 1000 rupees, you won't have to go forward, click on the website, go to that and check constantly, because the bot will do the job for you. It will go to the website and monitor the price and will intimate you whenever the price reaches the threshold that you had. So first let's understand the background behind web scraping, how it is actually implemented and how would you go about it. So the first thing will be getting all the contents from the website. So website is written in HTML, which stands for Hypertext Markup Language. So this is how the websites are written, and you will try to get information about the HTML document from the website first. So this part you will do by making a HTTP request to the website. So the thing that you do when you go to a browser, you go and type the URL of a document. That's how you do it normally, manually, but here we'll automate this process as well. Then the second thing is to extract the particular pieces of information that you need. And when you go through the HTML document, it is a very complicated structure, and writing regular expressions, you might find it very difficult to extract data from it. But we already have our saviors, some packages in Python that you can very easily use to structure the data in some format and then use it for extracting particular pieces of information that you were looking for on the website. Next, after getting the data, of course, you'll store it somewhere in an Excel sheet or maybe an SQL database, a central DB, any DB, and then you will go forward and analyze the data. The purpose for which you extracted the data is analysis, so you will do that. Now, as I talked about, there are some packages which are making our life convenient and helping us to do the process of web scraping very easily. So the packages available in Python are Scrapy, Beautiful Soup, and Selenium. So these are some packages that you can use in order to do web scraping. Let's have a brief discussion about what is the difference between them and what do they do. So talking about the first one, which is Beautiful Soup. Beautiful Soup is a very well documented package that you can use, and it is one of the easiest. If you are a beginner and you want to do web scraping, then Beautiful Soup is the best way to start web scraping. So Beautiful Soup is the way to go about if your website is comparatively simple to scrape and you are a beginner, then go for Beautiful Soup. Now next one is Selenium. So Selenium was originally is a website test automated testing tool, but it is used for scraping sites as well. Selenium will come into picture really when you want to get data from websites which are hidden by JavaScript. So this is where Selenium will be useful, because when data is hidden by JavaScript, you actually need a browser to load all the data. So this is where Selenium will be really helpful to you. And you can go forward and use it if you're doing some higher thing, then you can go for Selenium. Then comes Scrapy. Scrapy is actually a complete toolbox for doing web scraping. It is actually a framework which is used for web scraping. So if you want to build real spiders, real web crawlers, then you can go and learn Scrapy in order to do that. And instead of just scraping a few pages here and there, you can make a proper spider bot to do web scraping. Now this is the second, all these packages will mainly help you in the second phase, which is getting the data and then formatting it in a particular format. But there you need to get the HTML document first. That you will get by doing the HTTP HTTPS request, and that is done in Python using a package called request. This is one of the famous packages that is used for this purpose. So we'll discuss about requests as well. For building our project today, we will be using Beautiful Soup and requests. So let's move forward. Okay, so now we had a lot of discussion about the basics of it. Let's see if you people have doubts. So I'll wait. If you people have doubts, then you can ask me just now. I'll try to clear them. And I'll wait for 30 seconds. Okay, so thank you guys for all the motivation you're giving me. I'm very excited to teach the topic in depth. Now let's return back to the slides and go forward. Okay, so there's a question: in what case a web scraper is better than a web crawler? From DSCVIT. So for answering this, I would say web scraper, use it when you're trying to get a particular piece of information. You only have one particular website. You have to go through very few links and then try to use web scraper. But if you're trying to look for many websites, you want to go to different websites and try to fetch data, then you'll go for web crawler. Hisham is asking me, is there any prerequisites? Okay, so there are no prerequisites. The only prerequisite is you should know a bit of Python. That is all. Otherwise, you can easily, these packages are so simple that you can easily get started with web scraping very easily. Can we use Beautiful Soup to, Abhimanyu is asking me, can we use Beautiful Soup to scrape websites where data is fetched by JS? No, sorry, you can't use Beautiful Soup for that purpose. Beautiful Soup is a relatively basic thing. You can use Selenium for that. So Selenium is used when you have to work with JavaScript, because in that case you need a web browser to load all the JavaScript on the website. So basically you use Selenium for that purpose. Okay, so let's get back to our slides and start. Okay, so moving forward, let's talk about the first package that we discussed, which is requests. So request, as I told you earlier, is used for accessing the web and making the HTTP and HTTPS requests. So in the simple terms, if I try to explain this, so whenever you're going to your browser and try to access a website, then what you will see you are making is an HTTPS request to the website. You're making a GET request to the website. So request will help you do all that. It has methods such as get, post, put, patch, delete, which will help you replicate all the methods, all the requests, kind of requests that you make in a web browser. So get request is the one that we'll be majorly using with. So whenever you're trying to access a URL, you are making a GET request to the server. Post happens when submitting a form, put and patch is for modifying data, and delete is for deleting a record. So next, the most important thing is to understand what is the syntax, how do you write code. So you will put requests dot get post put or patch, whatever you want to do, and then you will put the URL of the website that you're trying to access. Then there'll be params, and for the params you'll have keys and values. So everything in a URL that you see after a question mark. So suppose you go to amazon.in and you try to search for phones, then in that case a question mark will come and you might have text equals to phone written. So in that case you will have key equals to text and value equals to phones that you search for, and ours is something that we will discuss later. It helps you pass cookies headers to the server. So Angad Sharma is asking me how to bypass robots or reCAPTCHA. So reCAPTCHA is, you can't bypass reCAPTCHA 3. That is a way the websites protect themselves. Then Ashutosh is asking me what is the difference between put and patch. So put and patch, put means you're trying to replace the complete record on a database by whatever you're providing in the request, and patch is you are trying to modify a particular thing. So in the request you just pass what you want to modify and it will get modified, whereas in put everything will be replaced. That is the difference between both of them. So let's move forward. Now whenever you make a request you will get a response object in return. So the response object is the one which will have all the data related to the request that you made. So response object has various methods and properties that you can use to get data from it. So there are methods such as cookies. Cookies is something that the server will try to store on your local browser to store some piece of information. Status code is something that the server will return you, which will tell if the request happened properly or not. So basically you should see 200 whenever you make a request. 200 means everything went fine, okay. But if you see a 400, then maybe you put something wrong, and you might see 403 and 401 as well while scraping websites. That means sorry, you're not allowed to access this website. Then you will have URL, of course, the URL to which you made the request. Then you will have text, and then text is what the HTML document, whatever the server returns, you can put it, you can get it using text. And JSON is a format of data that we are not concerned with right now while doing web scraping. And headers are the parts of information that you can also get headers from the request or response object. So as we're talking about web scraping, which means accessing website to get various pieces of information, it is very important to understand the format in which the document is written, which is using hypertext markup language. So let's discuss about the HTML tags a little bit so that we can understand and get information very nicely. So the whole HTML document is written using HTML elements. And the HTML elements are denoted by a starting tag and a closing tag. The starting tag will just have the name of the tag, whereas the ending tag will have the name of the tag with a / in front. So this complete thing will represent an HTML element. Now in the HTML starting tag, you will have the tag name. So in this case, h1 is the tag name. Then you will have various attributes. So the things written in the tag separated by spaces are known as attributes. And of course, attributes will have their values. And between these starting and ending tags, whatever you write will be visible on the website. So this is what you will try to extract when you're doing web scraping, the thing between the tags. So I'll tell you about some of the major tag names and attribute names which will be helpful. When you're doing web scraping, you will majorly come across tags whose name is div, section, anchor tags A, and these are some of the tags that you might be looking for while scraping data. Even paragraph tags P you might want to scrape information from. Then the attributes that you will come across are majorly class and IDs. So the attributes will help you to particularly pinpoint your data, because ID will be unique to a HTML element, and classes you can get some set of HTML tags by using classes also. So let's go forward and start with our project. So I have my code editor open in front of me. I'm using Visual Studio Code. You can use any code editor of your choice. It will be better if you make a new project folder for this project that we are going to build. Visual Studio Code, I like it because you can easily access the terminal below. So whenever you're trying to make a Python project, it is always advisable to make a virtual environment. So I'm assuming here that you already have Python installed on your systems, and pip added to path. So let's start. First thing that you need to create a virtual environment is you need virtual env. For doing that, type pip install virtual env, and this will help you get the virtual environment on your system. If you already have it, then it will say requirement already satisfied. Otherwise, this line of code will help you install virtual env. And then in order to create a virtual environment, you can type virtual env space the name of your virtual env. Here I am keeping it as env, and this will create the virtual environment for you. So for the time virtual environment is being created, let's talk about why it is important. So virtual environment will make a virtual system for you. You can consider that. So what it will help you do is, it will help you keep your packages and dependencies separate from each other. So just now the latest package of Beautiful Soup is Beautiful Soup 4. But what if you had some other project on your system which used Beautiful Soup version 3? Then in that case, the projects that you made earlier might stop working. So in that case, it is always better, if you want your projects to function properly, to have a virtual environment so that there are no clashes between the dependencies. Now we have a virtual environment. We made a virtual environment. Next thing is to activate your virtual environment. So if you are on Linux, then the command for activating virtual environment is source env/bin/activate. But if you are on Windows, then you should type env/scripts/activate. So this particular thing will activate the virtual environment for you, and now you are inside your virtual environment. How do you know if it activated or not? So in front of your prompt, you will see here env, the name of your virtual environment, written in parentheses in front. So this will indicate that the virtual environment is now activated. Now let's start installing packages that we were talking about. So the first package that we need is, as we discussed, requests. So let's install requests in our virtual environment. So type pip install requests to install requests. So yes, this is the thing. It installed the request package for you. Now let's create a new file in our project folder. The file is, let's name it price monitoring bot.py. So now we have our Python file. The first thing we should do is import the package that we just installed. So for doing that, type import requests. So this will help you import the package in your file. So you can use the methods and properties that it provides. For doing a request, you have to do response the request will return a response object. Response equals to request dot get, and you will put the URL over here. So let's go forward and search which website that we actually want to scrape. So I'll go to my Chrome and I have opened jabong.com in front of me. So I have searched for kurtas and I'm going to monitor the price of kurtas so that I can buy one when one of them comes under my budget. So the URL for this website is written here. You can copy paste from the URL from here, and now let's go back to our code editor to put the URL there. So we are back in our code editor. You can say URL equals to the URL, paste it over here. So now you have your URL and we can make a GET request to this URL. Now let's print what we get in return. So I'm printing the response. Now I'll be running my code. For running your code, type python price monitoring bot.py. Okay, so I got a response object which has status code 200. This indicates, as I talked earlier, 200 indicates that the request happened properly. The website returned me its data. But let's see what data that I got. So response has a property called text. This will help you see what you got as response from the website. Now let's run our code and see what we got. Okay, so this is the whole HTML document that you got from the response object. And from this document, you will have to try searching parts of information that you actually need. But this is very difficult to search here. We luckily have something called Chrome Developer Tools. So let's go to your Chrome and open your Chrome Developer Tools by clicking on Ctrl-Shift-I. By pressing Ctrl-Shift-I, you will have your Chrome Developer Tools open on the right side mostly by default, but you can also change its location. So this will help you see which part of the HTML document actually has the data that you are looking for. So in this case, you want to get the name of the product and the price of the product. So you will see that all the things are inside. All the things are inside a section which is called catalog products, and if you go down, you will see there's a section on an HTML element with the tag name section and an attribute name as row search product animate products. So this part, it has actually all your data, and the first thing that we'll try to do is get the whole data inside this HTML element. Now when you look inside it, you will see there are various divs which contain the data about each product on the website. But how do you get the details of the product? It is very difficult to write regular expression and get the data from here. So we already have things that can help us do it. So let's go back to our slides and gain some more information. So let's talk about Beautiful Soup 4, how it will help us with the process of web scraping. So Beautiful Soup 4 is a package that helps you parse HTML and XML document. So what Beautiful Soup 4 will do is, the HTML document that you got from the response object, the text that you got, it will structure that information, the document, in a particular format. The format will be in such a way that you can easily go and access various parts of information very easily using very simple functions. So this is how the Beautiful Soup will make our lives easier. So it will form a parse tree and will sit on the HTML so that you can easily extract data from the HTML easily. So for using this, you will have to parse the data, and what you get returned is called a soup object. So Beautiful Soup you write, and inside that you have to put your document, the HTML data that you got. So in this case, this is just a small part, and then you will write the type of parser that you are using. So as we have the HTML data here, so you will write HTML.parser, and this will return a soup object. Now, there are various methods and properties associated with soup object that you can use. So what Beautiful Soup will do is, it will parse the HTML document, will make it in a structured format, and now it will return a soup object to you. And using this soup object and some functions, you can easily get the tags, the HTML elements that you are looking for. So the first method is find. So what find will do is, you will see this is an HTML element and written over here. So for searching this, for getting this element, you can use find. The first parameter, the first argument in this method will be tag name, and the second one is optional. You can write ID, you can write class, you can get based on ID or class as well, or you can just replace, if you're just looking for tag name, then you can replace this whole part by just tag name also. So I'll tell you how you will try to get this HTML element. So for this you will write find h1, the name of the tag, HTML tag name is h1. You'll write find h1 comma ID equals to, there's no ID over here, or you can use class also, class equals to heading, and this will return you this complete HTML element. The next one is find all. Find all, as the name suggests, is used for finding all the HTML elements which match the parameters that you have written over here. So the difference between find and find all is, find will return only one HTML element, and it will mostly, if there are many matches, then it will return you the very first HTML element that matched your search. When you use find all, it will return all the HTML elements in a list format to you. So you'll have tag name here as well. This is h1, this is the tag name over here, and class will be equal to heading. Next will be get text. Get text and text are similar. It will help you get all the text between the tag, the starting tag and the ending tag. So in this case, when you write get text, you will get DSC VIT. Or text, it will also return you the same thing. Now there is contents. So contents will return you all the nested HTML tags also. So you will get DSC emphasis VIT/EM when you write contents, and when you write strings, you won't get anything over here, because it will return only something when you have a string written in between. So now we have covered a lot. Let's go back and see if you people have doubts. Okay, so Ashutosh is asking me, the HTML from DevTools you just showed already has elements with name and price attributes with their corresponding values. Are we gonna try to access these attribute values or the values inside div? So what we are going to try doing is, we are going to try to extract the document between those divs. So we saw something about Beautiful Soup. There are attributes such as .text which will help us get the data between those HTML tags, because the real data that you see on the websites are written between those two tags. So we will use those attribute names to point out that particular piece of information and then try to extract the data between those tags. So I'll wait for some more time, for 30 more seconds, to see if there are more doubts. Okay, so let's get back to our slides and you people can always ask me doubts. Let's continue. Okay, so it's now time to get back to the work. Now we have some background knowledge. Let's get back to work. So I'll go again to my code editor. Now we know that we need the beautiful soup package for structuring our data and getting information. So let's install it. So for doing that, right, first of all, make sure that your virtual environment is activated. Check if there's env written in front of it, and if it is not, then you can use env slash script slash activate to activate the virtual environment. Now let's install the package. For doing that, right, pip install beautiful soup 4. So we are going to use beautiful soup 4, which is the latest package. So it will install the package for you in your virtual environment. Now we have the package installed. Let's go forward and import it in our project. So let's import beautiful soup by typing import bs4. But what we want is the beautiful soup object. So for doing that, you can type from bs4 import beautiful soup. So this will import beautiful soup for us. Now I'll remove this print and let's make our soup object. As we have seen, we get a soup object and you write beautiful soup. Inside it you put the text, the HTML document text that you got, and we know we can get that by doing response dot text, and the second argument will be the parser. So it will be HTML dot parser. So we are using to parse HTML. So we are writing HTML dot parser, and now we have our soup object. So we can now use the various methods that we discussed about. Let's again go to the site that I was trying to scrape and have a look upon which particular element I am going to scrape from here. So if you will see that we want the main section that contains data is the HTML element whose tag name is section, and the class value is row search product animate products. So let's go forward and try to get this particular HTML element from the whole document. So we return back to our code editor and we'll try to extract that. So let's call it main body. And how do you get it? We get it by using the various function that we get along with soup. So with this, the one we are going to use is find. So soup.find, the name of the tag, which is section as we saw, and the class is equals to this. Wait, I'll go and copy it again. So you can double tap here and easily copy the names of the classes from here. This is very easy. We paste our class name here, and now we have the main part which has all the data. So now I'll try to show you what we got. So I'll do main body dot text. So what it will do, it will return all the text which is written inside the HTML element that we were trying to get. So I'll do python price monitoring bot.py. Okay, so now you see there's a lot of data. So this is all I got from the website. So here you will see the name of the product. This is the name of the product and this is the price. So this is the price of the product that we got, but we want to get this particular product price and the name. So let's go back to our site. So I'll go back to the site and let's try to find out the particular pieces of data that we are looking for. I'll try to refresh this so I get the latest information. So here you see the website updated, and according to that my scraper returned me the exact same data that I see there. So this is the name of the first product and this is the price of the first product. So let's go back. Okay, so now we are trying to get the information of this particular product. So how do I get the information for that product? I see that all the data of one particular product is inside a division which has this class name. And if you scroll through the document, you see that all the products are inside division and the class names are also same for all the products. So good, we now know that we have to scrape data which has a tag name called div and some class name which is written over here. So let's go back to our code editor. So I'm back over here and let's try to get all the product data from the website. So I write all products equals to main body. Every find will return you a soup object again, so you can use all those methods again. So main body dot find all, because there are many products on the website and the name of the tag as we have seen is div and the class name is, I have copied the class name, I'll paste it here. So this is all the data about all the products on the website. So let's print all the products data now to ensure that we are getting the information. So if you will see here, this is a list and the list elements are each product information. I'll do all products dot. Now let's go forward and try to get the name and the price of the product that we were looking for. So I'll go back to the website. And once I come back, I'll open the div. So what is inside the division, I'll check that. So inside the division, there are some nested divisions and one of them is div with a class h4. So this, and if you see here, then you have the name of the product highlighted over here. So if you go inside it, it is the name of the product. So we are looking for a div which has a class name h4, which this is where you will get the name of the product from, and the price is inside a div which has the class name price. And if you go inside it, you can see 1599, which is exactly what we see on the website also. So we'll try to get this information from each of the product element. So let's go back to our code editor and let's try to fetch all the data. So as find all will return a list of objects, I'll do for product in all products. And I will try to get the product name. So I'll write product name equals to the name, the product, the soup object dot, I'll do find because I'm looking only for one, and as we have seen, the name is div and the class is h4. So here you have the name of the product, and let's get the product price as well. So product price equals to product dot find, and what we have seen is div and the class is price as we have seen on the website. So here we have and print product price dot text to get all the details. Let's run our code and ensure it is doing what we expect it to do. So I'll show you. It returned me the name of the product. This was the name of the first product, and as we've seen, the price was 1599. And again, this is the name of the second product and its price, and so on. So good, we have the name of the products and the price. This is exactly what we wanted. But we don't only want the price, we want a price that a product which is in our price range. So how do you do that? Just write an if check to see if the product we are looking for is in our price range or not. So I'll write product price dot text and convert it into float, and if I'll check if it is less than equals to 1000 rupees. So I don't want to buy above 1000 rupees, so I'll do this. And if it is in my price range, I'll print product found, and I'll print only the name and product price of those products. Okay, so I'll do the indentations correct, and let's run our code and check if we are getting it or not. Okay, so it says it gave me an error actually. And what is it? Let's look into it. This is how you go about doing debugging. So you see that it says, okay, it cannot convert this particular thing to float. And of course, this will happen many times when you're doing web scraping, because you might find data which is inconsistent. And to prevent this, today I will just put a try catch around this part of code so that it doesn't stop our scraper from scraping data. But you can even look into that particular part and try to extract data from there as well. But just now I'm going to skip it. So I'll write print cannot get price. Okay, so let's run our code again. Okay, so nice. Now we got all the product names and the prices only of the products which are below 1000 rupees. So these are all the products which I found. Now it is of no use. I can't just look on the console trying to find out if I got a product which matches my search or not. It will be better if there was a method to get notification. So the best way to do notification thing is to make your own Telegram bot. So I'll be doing a brief demo about how to make a Telegram bot as well. So let's go to a browser, and I have my Chrome, I have my Telegram open in front of me. Go into your Telegram and search for something known as bot father. So you have your bot father here, and now we are going to make a new bot for us. So for making a new bot, the command is /new bot. So let's make a new bot. The bot father asked me to give a name to the bot. So let's call it webinar price monitoring bot. So this is the name that I want to give, and it says okay, it wants me to give a username as well. I'll give the same username, and it will ensure that this is unique. Webinar price monitoring bot. So great, now we have a bot. You have made your own bot with some very easy messages. So after you make a bot, you will get an API key. So we'll be using Telegram API to send messages to our Telegram bot. This might be a little bit high level topic. You might find it difficult to understand, but what API is basically, it is an application program interface in which you can put particular pieces of information and you get something back from it. So let's take this API key and I want you to open a new tab, and in that type api.telegram.org/bot and then put your API key over here and /get updates. So this is a route you are using the Telegram API, and what /get updates will give you, it will give you all the latest messages that your bot received. So let's run it. And you'll see, okay, but there's no results. Of course, we haven't sent any messages to our bot. Now I'll go to Telegram and try searching for my bot. Webinar price monitoring. Yeah, so I have my bot over here. There are no messages here yet. To activate your bot, go forward and click this start button present here. So this will activate your bot, and let's send a message hello to my bot. I will talk to my bot, and we'll go forward and again fetch the messages that our bot received. So you will see here there are two messages that our bot received. One is /start, which was used to start our bot, and the other is hello. So what we want from here is the chat ID. So the chat ID will be inside here. This is the chat ID, and I'll copy the chat ID from here and I'll head back to my code editor. So now I'm back in VS Code, and let's use this chat ID. I'll create a variable called chat ID and I'll store the chat ID here. I will also be needing the API key, so I'll create a variable API key as well. Go back and get the name of the, okay, I got the API key from here. I'll go back and this is how now we have the chat ID and the API key. The API route for getting the messages was /get updates, but we are here to send messages to the bot. So for sending messages, the route is /send message. So let's make a new function here which will do the work of sending messages to the bot. It is always a good practice to modularize your code. So send message, and my send message will take product name and the product price, and let's put the chat ID and the API key over here. Okay, so we have the chat ID and the API key here now. Now let's formulate a message. So the message that I want to send is product found, and it should tell me the product name on a new line /n product name, and it should also tell me the product price. So the product price, of course. So now we have all the things that we need, and now let's get the URL. So the URL is again api.telegram.org/bot, and you put the API key over here, and the route is send message, and it will have some params. So let's send the params as well. So the params are text equals to the message that you want to send, and also it will have the chat ID to whom you want to send the message. So this is how you put it, and we are going to use string formatting here. So I'll put the API key. The first thing is the API key, then I want to put my message, and the third thing is the chat ID. Okay, so now we have our URL ready, and again, as I told you, we have a request package here to make various HTTPS requests. This time we'll be making the request to the Telegram API. Okay, I'll write here Telegram URL to make it more clear, and Telegram response is what I'll get in return. So I'll put Telegram response and I'll use my request to send a GET request. So request.get and the Telegram URL. So this is all that you have to do to make your own Telegram bot and send messages to it. And one more thing that you should do is every time you find a product, you should also call the send message function, sending the product name dot text and the product price dot text, of course. So we have everything set. Now let's save this and run our code to check everything is working fine or not. So my code is running and I found various products which are below 1000 rupees. I'll go back and check if I actually receive the messages or not. Okay, so I see there are some messages over here, and the messages are here inside here. So I found the first product name, and there are other products name as well. Just a second. Yeah, so we found all the products. Now let's go back to our code editor. Now we are back in our code editor. And I go forward inside the code. Let's modularize our code. So for doing that, let's create a function def check price and let's indent our code properly. Okay, so now let's call our function continuously in a while loop. So I'll put while true, and we'll call the check price, and we'll also wait for a particular amount of time after each call to this. So let's put time dot sleep, and we'll wait for some 30 seconds for now so that we can see what's actually happening. For using time, we will also have to import it. So write import time, and good. We are now ready to again run our code and see what happens. So I'll run my code again. and I go back again to my Chrome browser, and I'll see that there are again some unread messages. So our Telegram bot is working perfectly, and as we have set it, it will send me notifications after every 30 seconds right now. But you can of course increase it to say some twice a day, so once in 12 hours. So let's get back to our presentation. So congratulations, we have built our own Telegram bot, a price monitoring bot that will help you monitor the price of various products. So I'm now open to questions. If you people have more questions, then we can take them up and see that, ensure that all the doubts are cleared. So, okay, thank you for all the encouragement. I will wait for 30 seconds. So if you people have doubts, we can go to that. And also I'll show you, as I'm using my bot after every 30 seconds, I'll go to my Chrome browser to show you that I actually got new messages. So see, there are some unread messages over here again, and I have the list of products again. Okay, so I'll wait for 30 seconds to see if there are doubts. Okay, so let's go back to the slides. And the product that we just built, you can find it at this GitHub repository. I've made the repository for you so that you can easily go and see the price monitoring bot and check the code and understand it. Okay, so we have a question from Angad Sharma saying how to prevent others for scraping your website. So there are various methods that people use to stop the scrapers from getting the website scraped. So some of them are using reCAPTCHA, as I told you. So it will ensure that if it is a bot, then it won't let it access the information, and if it is a genuine user, then they'll be able to access. The other methods are, the server will keep on checking how many requests they are getting from a particular IP address. So if there are more requests, then they can consider it as a suspicious user. So it can be a bot and will try to block it. Other things, they'll try to hide the data by JavaScript, etc. There are many methods by which people try to prevent their websites being scraped. So I'll talk a bit about Selenium. So as we have seen that many websites have their data tugged by JavaScript. So Selenium is a good tool if you are searching for something which has data tugged away by JavaScript. And so it will load the website in a browser first, and it requires a web driver. With Selenium, you can actually automate the process, such as the clicks on the website. All the things that users normally do can be automated by this. So you can actually go and enter text in a search box to search. You can actually go and click, and Selenium helps you to automate all this. So here are some additional links that I have gathered for you people. These are the links to the official documentation, which is Beautiful Soup 4 and Request official documentation. And there are some additional links to the cheat sheets about web scraping and Beautiful Soup 4. And all the links for this particular webinar and all the resource links that I have gathered, you can access it in this Google document. It will be there in the description as well. And thank you very much for attending this webinar. Feel free to contact us. Contact DSCVIT on Twitter, on Instagram, @DSCVIT and @DSCVIT Vellore. Also feel to contact me anytime on LinkedIn. Thank you very much. This is Riddhi Gupta signing off.